Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Jaws podcast. I'm super excited. That's not right. I've been trying to put so many podcast episodes together that I forgot that this is not a Beyond Jaws podcast. This is the Ocean Decoded Live. Welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you here. It is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. We're going to be talking about some really cool things today. We're going to go lighthearted on the podcast today, or on the live today on Ocean Decoded Live. We're going to be talking about a number of different things, but really we're going to have three stories. One, we're going to be talking about dolphins using seashells as a tool to catch fish. That's pretty cool. We're also going to be talking about Diva Amon, Dr. Diva Amon, who is a good friend of the podcast, the Ocean Decoded Live. She's been on the podcast on the How to Protect the Ocean podcast before. I've met her in person a number of times. She's just a wonderful person, but also a deep sea biologist. We're going to be profiling her on our bid to get you to know more about not only the ocean, but the people who are working in and around the ocean. So that'll be our profile for today. And we're going to be looking at another deep sea species that was caught by the Monterey Bay Aquarium and Research Institute last November 2025. There's some footage here. I want you to see it. I think it'll be kind of cool. So yeah, let's just get into the whole thing. The first story is kind of a cool thing. Researchers, this just came out recently. Researchers have filmed the first act of shelling for the first time. They've never filmed it before, with evidence of a mother and calf learning. Now think about that. The mother and calf are actually the mother is teaching the calf how to use this shelling. Like this is a pretty cool thing to have on the podcast. We have some video footage. They actually shared the video footage on the site that we were on. It's a pretty cool thing to see a mother and calf learning. Now we know that dolphins use echolocation to find fish. There's one thing about finding fish in the ocean, which makes it easier when you have echolocation. It's all in their frontal brain. They've got this like bone structure that allows them to locate fish using the echolocation. It's like the vibrations in the water and with the muscle movement and everything. It's pretty cool. They can track fish down from kilometers away. The whole pod will go towards it, and then there's the other thing of actually catching this fish. And so dolphins have come up with different ways of hunting techniques. They've been found ferociously hunting octopus, which is not an easy fish or not an easy invertebrate or animal to eat because their tentacles can even move after they've been ripped off. So they have to really rip them off to make sure that it's all dead before they go because they can choke. So they've been seen like really ferociously whipping them along at the surface of the water, trying to destroy them. But this time, researchers have found a different way of using a tool to catch the fish, which is called shelling. And I'll talk about that in a second. I'll give you the description of the paper. So, researchers from the University of the Sunshine Coast, led by the marine mammal expert Alexis Levengood, has captured the first ever video footage of dolphins using seashells as a tool to catch fish, a hunting technique known as shelling. And the team filmed shelling. The team filmed two incidences in Hervey Bay in Queensland, marking the first published record of a behavior in Australia's east coast and the first time it's ever been caught on camera anywhere. So in the one clip that we're going to see, researchers also observed an adult female dolphin shelling, and then the minutes later, they watched her calf pick up and the drop shell and hold it in the same way. And so it's learning from this area. Researchers say that this is the first potential evidence of maternal social transmission in the behavior, and challenging the earlier assumption that dolphins learn tools from their peers rather than from their mothers. So this is kind of an interesting way, again, a behavioral experiment looking at the way animals move, especially with marine mammals. Behavior experiments are quite frequent, so it's kind of cool. Like it's kind of neat to be able to see that. By the way, if you are watching this live on YouTube, which is where we go live every Monday to Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear. Say hi. How are you? What you're interested in learning about? Just let me know what that is. So let's just continue on. So this is kind of cool. I want to show you the actual footage right now. Let me just go to my footage. So this is the one where the mother has been able to has been observed doing it. So this is about a minute long. We're going to watch this through. So you can see the dolphin right in and around here. It's got something in its mouth, looks like a shell. You can see the little zoomed in. The drone, our drone's amazing. The capture, the amount of things that they can capture is just phenomenal. It goes down deep, goes and looks for another shell, comes back up, goes back down again. You know, he just probably already ate a fish from having the shell in its mouth. And now it's just kind of chilling out there, probably trying to find another shell. Now, what they do as we're watching this, what they do is they will chase a fish. So as they're chasing fish, they hide in like the crevices and everything of the rocks. Now, if they can chase a fish into a shell, which is usually like a large mollusk shell, so like a large snail shell. Oh, it looks like it just did a little doo-doo there. But then what it'll do, it'll chase it in, and the fish will hide in there, thinking like, "Hey, I'm done. Like I've got." We'll go back to that again. I want to see it again. You'll see the shell in his mouth right here. And then what they'll do is they'll make sure that the fish is in there. They grab the shell with its mouth, and then they'll bring it up to the surface. And then as soon as the shell hits out of water, there's nowhere for the fish to go. They tilt it upward, and so that it kind of comes out. The fish kind of just swallows, goes right into the mouth, and they swallow it, and then they go back down for more. Now, that's pretty cool. Like that's a pretty cool behavior that we've seen. I've got another video here where it's not only the mother, but it is the calf, and we're going to show you right here. Go back to this one. So this looks like the exact same thing. It's as soon as the mother finished, the calf picked it up. I don't know how old the calf was, but old enough to understand what it was doing. So here's a little bit of a look. I think this got a little closer of a look. Zoomed in a little bit more. There's the shell. Picked up the shell, brought it up to the surface. Probably tried to do the same thing. I don't know if there was or wasn't a fish in there, but definitely trying to capture something. Took off back down to the bottom. And there's the mother coming in saying, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you doing it properly?" Trying to teach probably. And then just I could just imagine what uh, the communication is between the two, because obviously marine mammals communicate quite well to each other. So they go down in the bottom. I'm assuming this animal's going to come back up based on the video. I don't know why they would show a video there. It is starting to come back up. Does it have another shell? It looks like it has another shell. So it's learning this behavior. I assume there's some communication, and I don't know how important that communication is, or how detailed that communication is in terms of how to pick that up. But definitely they can see from just looking at it and watching the mother do the exact same thing. So I thought that was something that was pretty interesting, to be honest, in terms of what the capabilities these marine mammals, these dolphins, can do. You know, toothed whales, like toothed cetaceans. They're really cool in being able to do what they can do. This was taken last year, October 2025, and the study was published in the Marine Mammal Science journal this month. So that was kind of cool. Researchers observed an adult female shelling. Then minutes later, the calf picked it up, which was kind of cool. We just saw that in the footage. And it's called the potential evidence of mother social transmission in this behavior, learning from mother rather than from their peers. So this is a very important part of understanding dolphin behavior, and how mother calf relationships are so important as the calf is growing and learning how to hunt, and learning these different nuances of hunting. So that's that story for today. I thought that was kind of a cool story. Now let's get into something we're going to get into a little deeper water. That was pretty shallow water. We're going to get into a little deeper water here with our profile in ocean conservation, the people in ocean conservation that I like to talk about. And the guest here is Dr. Diva Amon. Now, obviously, these aren't interviews. I do interviews on the Beyond on How to Protect the Ocean podcast, as well as the Beyond Jaws podcast. I have had Diva on on the podcast before. She is a very, very busy scientist right now, and she is in high demand. And I'll talk a little bit about her. I'll talk a little bit my interactions with her, because she's just amazing, a scientist, an amazing person. She holds a PhD in Earth and Ocean Ocean and Earth Science from the University of Southampton. Studies chemosynthetic habitats and human impacts on the deep ocean, especially deep sea mining, which is obviously very important. Co-founder of the Species, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a Trinidad and Tobago based NGO using science, that's where she's originally from, education and advocacy to build understanding of marine ecosystems in the Caribbean. She's a postdoctoral researcher affiliated with the Benioff Ocean Science Laboratory and at UC Santa Barbara. She also has a marine, I'm going to try and pronounce this probably, Skłodowska Curie Fellowship at the Natural History Museum in London. And in 2020, it was National Geographic Emerging Explorer. In 2022, a Pew Marine Fellow, a recipient of the International Seabed Authority Secretary General's Award for excellence in deep sea research, and appeared as a deep sea expert alongside Will Smith in the Nat Geo Disney Plus series Welcome to Earth. Has dived to depths of over 1.6 miles, so 1 kilometer down, in research submersibles. And one of the most prominent scientific voices warning against deep sea mining, arguing the ocean floor is being industrialized faster than it can be studied or understood. You will hear Diva's name in my podcast tomorrow that goes live, talking about whether the deep sea is a desert or is it not. You know, the CEO for TMC, the metals company, a deep sea mining company, called the deep sea in the Clarion-Clipperton zone a desert that's just 4,000 feet of 4,000 meters below the ocean surface. That's not true. It's not true. And Diva was one of the first people to explore that and to say, hey, you know what? That's actually not true through scientific research. So that was kind of cool. So you can go check her out. The website's up there, divaamon.com. And you can also check her on Instagram. She's very active there at diva_amon, AMON. This is always fun to be able to not only highlight your friends and spotlight your friends, but people who are very important in the entire deep sea space. You know, I've got a couple of friends that give me insider scoops and stuff like that, and I'll always send a message to Diva when I'm looking for information. And if she's not busy, she will be able to return. But she is, like I'm telling you, she is busy because she is doing the important work. And not only is she doing documentaries to make sure that people really understand the science behind nature, but she's also working in, you know, where she's from in Trinidad and Tobago, and doing right now the latest thing that I saw, she did a number of different videos on Instagram about deep sea research off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago, which have very deep waters. And so that was kind of cool. I'm looking forward to hearing what is going to be coming out of that. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so from one incredible piece of dolphin footage to another rare deep sea sighting, we're going to be talking right now, going into this, of one of the probably the rarest or least seen octopus species on the planet, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm gonna cue it up, and I'm just gonna play it as I go through the. Let's see if this will work here. As I go through, here we go. As I go through the story, because I think it's kind of nice to have these visuals in the background. So this is from MBARI, the Monterey Bay Aquarium and Research Institute, a great institute in Monterey Bay, California. If you ever have a chance to go there, I have not been, but if you ever have a chance to go there, go there. They do a lot of deep sea videos. They do a lot of information around or gathering data around the natural world in and around the research center. It's a phenomenal area. The aquarium is just magnificent as well. All right, so MBARI is what it's known for. I'm just gonna take can I take the voice off? Apparently not. We'll just hear that in the background. But essentially what this is you're looking at a remotely operated vehicle, Ventana, spotted a rare 7-armed octopus. It's called Halifron atlanticus, and it's roughly 700 meters deep in Monterey Bay. Only the 4th time the Institute has observed this species in nearly 4 decades of ocean exploration. So this is the 4th time. This is kind of a cool thing. If you can count the arms, there's something that's really interesting about these ones, of course. Now, nicknamed the blob octopus, males of the species keep a specialized sperm transfer arm, so that's one of the arms, tucked into a sac beneath the right eye, giving the appearance of 7 arms rather than the usual 8, hence the 7 arms. Now, females can grow to more than 13 feet and up to 13 feet long, and up to, there's a really good shot of it, and up to 165 pounds, so quite big. Now, the males, on the other hand, are typically much smaller, often around 8 inches. So you have one female that could go up to 13 feet long, and 165 pounds. Then you got the males who are just 8 inches long, which is kind of cool. So this particular animal that we're looking at here was recorded eating red bioluminescent helmet jelly. And the footage is being shared as an archival highlight rather than a brand new discovery, right? Because this is something they brought it back on their Instagram. I saw it. I said, this is kind of a cool thing. I want to see what this is. This is like what this is all about, because it's kind of cool. I want to talk about it on the show because a lot of times on Ocean Decoded Live we will talk about some heavy stuff, like the fact that there's probably going to be deep sea mining in the U.S. waters at some point. There's probably going to be some problems with climate change at some point, right? We're entering hurricane season coming up. So when I have a chance to share some good news, like the dolphin story we did earlier with the shelling, and then of course with looking at this new species, this amazing species that was found not just recently. This was found back in November 2025 with one of their expeditions, in Barry's expeditions, but it was like one of 4 times in the last 40 years that they've been able to see this animal just off the coast of Monterey. Like, think about that. Think about the odds of finding those. It's incredible to be able to see that. So I just thought it would be good to be able to share this as we go through, because look, the deep sea is a very interesting place. And although, as I mentioned earlier, we have seen, I mean, the ocean is a very interesting place, but the deep sea is really interesting because you have animals like this. They're so different from what we know an octopus to be, right? We see jellyfish, we see bioluminescence invertebrates that you just have never seen before. They're like alien-like, and all of a sudden, people want to mine the deep sea. They want to ruin it, and they say, "Well, it's just a desert. There's nothing really there." And we keep finding these wonderful species. The story that I covered tomorrow on How to Protect the Ocean podcast, like we're talking about animals, like in 90% of the animals are new to science. They haven't been even described or named. And some of them have started like with a completely new super family and family in the animal kingdom. And so why are we rushing to do something like deep sea mining when we haven't even scratched the surface, no pun intended, of the deep sea? It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd love to hear your take on it, your comments on it. Let me know in the comments below, because this is ridiculous. All for some critical minerals, which could or may not be important later on in life. Batteries are getting better and better made, and that evolution is happening. They're relying less on the metals that you would use to mine, or that you would want as you would mine these nodules, polymetallic nodules, that would go into batteries or that would go into phones. The evolution is just outpacing the need for the deep sea mining, and we still don't know how important the deep sea is to our oceans. We're starting to see connections. We covered yesterday that snail, just a snail that goes from the deep sea hydrothermal vent all the way up to the surface to feed on plankton, and then it gets distributed all the way down until it hits another hydrothermal vent, right? And a lot of them get eaten on the way down, but like that connection as it goes up and then it gets dispersed out shows how these hydrothermal vents are genetically connected, right? That's just one small animal. Imagine what we can find with larger animals, or how these different processes actually matter to the overall health of our oceans. It's unbelievable to me that we are considering destroying the deep sea without knowing what we're destroying. And the fact is that we've rushed into these things before, and it seems like we haven't learned. Some of us have learned and said, hey, we need to look into this more. We need to discover more about the deep sea before we do anything. And we have a chance to do it right if we are going to do it. But then you got people like the Trump administration who are just going to rush into it because all they see is money. That's all they see. And you have CEOs like Gerard Barron, the CEO of the TMC, which I cover on today's podcast. If you haven't seen it, go to How to Protect the Ocean podcast. And you just say, hey, like this is what it is. Like these are CEOs who are business people. They don't know about the deep sea. They don't care really about the deep sea other than extracting minerals from there, metals from there that they can sell and make money off of. That's all they care about, is making money. And as I understand, as a business person, you have to worry about making money. But when you're doing natural resource extraction and natural resource exploitation, you need to have this ethical piece to it, where you need to make sure that you are not harming the deep sea or harming a new frontier that we haven't even explored. And we've learned from the past that that doesn't work if we just kind of rush into it. And business people like to rush, while scientists like to slow down and make sure that we're doing it properly. So I'd love to hear what you think on this episode. So check it out. Just hit me up in the comments section. I'll be here, letting you know, and don't and answering all the comments and stuff. And also, if you want to know more, or if you want to know more about the ocean, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every day, Monday to Friday, 4 and 5, I like to go live with another Ocean Decoded live episode, and we put up the clips from each story in the next day's episode, so you can check that out as well. All right, that's it for today. I want to thank you so much. A little quick episode today, but thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. I'm your host, Angelo, and have a great day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, happy conservation. Bye.